Northeast Middle School Student Council President Olivia Rubio and Vice President Princess Menyon interviewed mayoral candidates Jolie Justus and Quinton May 29th.
What do you think is the biggest problem in the Northeast area, and what do you plan to do about it?
That's a great question. I think there are a lot of issues that all kind of work together to create a series of problems that really impact the quality of life in all of the Northeast area. And so the issues that I see right now have to do with crime, have to do with trash and sidewalks and streets, and also making sure that we have vacant and abandoned housing that is cleaned up and get those rebuilt and people moving in. And so I don't think one of those is worse than the others, but I think that all of those things combined are causing not the quality of life that everybody wants in the Northeast. So I look forward to working to get all of those back together. And so and your question also said, what do I plan to do about it, right? Mm-hmm. So I think that one of the things that we can do is that right now we spend a lot of time at City Hall trying to come up with solutions. And we do it there at 12th and Oak, and we don't necessarily bring it to the Northeast and bring it to the neighborhoods. So one of the plans that I have is to bring the mayor, the city manager, and all of the department heads to the Northeast, mm-hmm. and do that on a regular basis where everyone is there to answer questions about specific problems, to come up with solutions for those long-term problems, and start to really put things into place that actually make a difference in those areas.
To me, the biggest problem today in the Northeast and in every part of Kansas City relates to crime. There are a lot of shootings, right? A lot of kids, perhaps you do too, hear gunshots in their neighborhoods. And that's not just in this neighborhood, but it's in a lot of Kansas City. And so I want to make sure that we have a place that's safer, right? And that relates both to making sure there aren't shootings and people getting hurt, but also making sure people aren't dumping trash everywhere. You see that sometimes too. So I want to just make sure we do better at addressing public safety is what it's called, but making sure there's less crime and we can all walk around and we and our families and our friends can be safe.
Which role, if any, should the mayor have in education, and why?
You know, it's interesting because, as you might know this, but the mayor doesn't have any kind of governance when it comes to schools and education. Mm-hmm. But when I'm knocking on doors asking people to vote for me in this race, one of the top issues that people ask me about is education. And so one of the things that the mayor can be doing that I think is incredibly important is making sure that we improve the quality of life in the neighborhoods, just like we talked about. Mm-hmm. When our neighborhoods are stable, when there is a higher quality of life, then families can start to grow and thrive in the neighborhood, and that helps the schools. Mm-hmm. Because I want schools where kids don't have to move when they lose their housing, when there's a problem with the house and have to move to another one. And I think that one of the things that the mayor can do is focus on issues like transportation and crime and housing and trash and all of those things we just talked about, so that we can make sure that we have students that are thriving in their neighborhoods. The other thing too I think is important is just to have conversations with all of the principals, the superintendents, the school boards, and that's something that I've been doing right now to find out what they need from the city to help the schools, and then make sure that we are providing those services and then getting out of the way when we need to get out of the way too.
We should care so much about everything related to education. So I'll tell you a little secret about me, okay? So I am not a very good 7th grade teacher or 6th grade teacher or anything like that. So you don't want me to come into your classroom sometime soon. By the way, what's your favorite subject? What's yours?
American history.
American history, I like that too.
American history.
American history, good. Well, we're going to quiz you later on President Lincoln or something like that. But I think you have good teachers that do a good job. The way I think the mayor can help is by helping those teachers do their job to the best. Mm-hmm. So the way I always describe it is that from the time school gets out until the time school starts the next day, that's where I can really help you do stuff. I think when does school start?
8:10.
At 7?
8:10.
8:10, sorry, I missed an hour. 8:10, and then it gets out at 3?
3:10.
3:10, good. So from 8:10 to 3:10, I think the schools should be teaching you and making sure there are good activities and all of that. But from 3:10 p.m. until 8:10 a.m. the next day, what can we do to make your life better? We can make sure that your city is safer, right? We make sure it's cleaner. We can make sure that there are activities that you can get involved in, for example, during the summer. A lot of kids don't do anything all summer, right? Mm-hmm. And so I'd like to see us use our community centers and others to make sure that whether you're the type of person who likes to read a lot of books or play music, or if you're good at soccer or anything like that, that you'll have activities to do. So I really want, working with our Department of Parks and Recreation, I really want to make sure we have more youth activities, and I want to make sure that we're taking care of all those basic things that make your neighborhoods more livable.
What plans do you have for the youth interested, jobs, internships, and summer activities?
One of the programs that I really like in Kansas City right now that I want to see continue to grow is the Higher KC program. It provides paid internships for high school and college students. I think that's incredibly important. And we're also starting to do some work in the middle school level. And I think that's a really great opportunity to get involved in all sorts of different career paths, things that you might not have thought of before that you can give a chance and give it a shot. And the good news is that these are all paid internships. So I think it's an opportunity to be able to earn a little money over the summer and also start to kind of look at different career paths. The other thing that we're talking about right now that I think is really exciting is an opportunity to bring more kind of technical training to schools. I was talking to a young woman who's on the other side of the state who is just starting her sophomore year in high school. And when she graduates from her high school over in St. Louis, she's going to have her high school diploma and a tech degree in veterinary technology. And the thing that's really cool about that is she can then go on and work for a veterinarian. She can go to vet school. She can do all sorts of things right when she graduates from high school. And so we're going to try to bring some of those programs that we've seen happen in other parts of the state to our schools so that you can be doing two things at once, getting your high school diploma and getting some additional technical training that will help with both college or going right to work after high school.
In a dream world, if you could pick something that would get you paid during the summer, what would you do? What would be your favorite job right now to do over the summer?
Play soccer.
Play soccer? I'd like to get paid to play soccer too. I'm not even that good. What about you?
Swim.
Swim. That's wonderful, right? And so the biggest thing that I think we can do sometimes, sometimes people have the opportunity to do kind of follow their dreams and do what they want to do during the summer, and a lot of other people don't. My goal is that through the different youth activities that we have, we're actually letting you do things like maybe be a lifeguard during the summer, which would be great when you're a bit older, or being like a summer youth coach so you can help younger kids. I think not only should we say that there are activities, but we should try to find more opportunities through our Parks and Recreation Department and also during the school year to make sure we're finding good activities and internships that interest you and that link to what you're doing, Because, for example, Allie over there, who works with me, right, she's interested in public service and all of that, and she just graduated from college, but she gets to work with my campaign and do that. There's another intern there who works in journalism because she wants to be a reporter someday and be hard on people like me. And so I think the thing that we really want to make sure we do is match what your life interests are and your skills with opportunities out in the city. And there are lots of those, and I think it's up to us to make sure you're finding them.
How's it feel being the mayor, like trying to be the mayor?
Running for mayor is probably one of the coolest things I've ever done because I get to go to every part of the city. Do you know how big the city is?
No.
It's 319 square miles. So you've heard of New York City.
Mm-hmm.
It's about the same size as New York City. It's that big.
That's nice.
But we only have 488,000 people. And so one of the things that's been really interesting is going to every square inch of the city and meeting with people and listening to their stories. And one thing that I did that you might be interested in is I actually walked the entire length of the city. So I started down at 163rd and Prospect. That's the very southern tip of the city. And I walked all the way through. I didn't do it one day because it was over 60 miles. And every weekend I walked just a little bit further. And at the end I got to 144th and Interurban Road, which is north of the airport. And so I was able to kind of walk all the way across, walk through every single neighborhood. And it was really great because I got to meet everybody from all over the city. I got to tour things. I got to hear people's stories. And I got to see things that were working and see things that are not working that we need to work on together. And so that was a really cool opportunity. And I don't think I would have been able to do that if I weren't running for mayor.
So I'm talking to you right now. I was like maybe 5 miles north of here this morning talking to two ladies who are a bit older, right? And it's just neat. I get to hear about a lot of what's going on in the community, and I like people, so that makes it fun.
Did you want to be something before you wanted to be the mayor?
Yeah, actually, right now, in addition to being a candidate for mayor. I'm also a city council person. And before that, I was a state senator for Kansas City. So I actually represented Missouri down in Jefferson City. I represented Kansas City down in Jefferson City as a state senator. But I'm a lawyer by trade. So I oversee all of the free legal services at my law firm. For the last 16 years, I've been in charge of what they call our pro bono legal practice. Mm-hmm. And so it's really fun work, and I really love it. And that's why I ran for office in the first place, is because I actually have been representing kids and families in the foster care system and kids in the juvenile justice system, and I just got really excited about that work and wanted to kind of not just be in the courtroom representing people, but I wanted to go into government so that I could change the policies that lead us to the courtroom in the first place.
It's never fun as a description, but I'm an attorney, and so I'm a lawyer sometimes, but I never get to go to a courtroom because that's only what the cool lawyers do. So I spend most of my time actually teaching law. So I'm a professor at a university, and I get a chance to teach much older kids who are about between 22 and 30 usually, and I teach them how to become good lawyers and hope that they come back to communities like this one and make a difference. But the most fun I probably ever had was that I used to teach in a maximum security prison. I did that as a volunteer. And it was interesting because whenever I would walk in, right, all the gates closed behind me. So like each step you'd hear a gate and you'd kind of say, oh my God, can I get out, right? But it was good. My students were very nice. They were trying to make better opportunities in their lives. And so it was good interacting with them.
Tell me what your student council, how many people are on the student council, and how do you get elected to the student council?
I think there's 4 people.
Okay.
We're all girls.
Excellent. That's awesome.
We gathered food for the homeless, and we donated all the lost and found stuff to kids that need it, and like homes that don't have as many clothes as others.
That's awesome. That's great. How long have you been on the student council?
Just this year.
Okay, it's your first time?
Yeah.
All right, so I'm going to ask you all to do something for me, okay? Mm-hmm. So the very first office that I ran for was student council, and I won. And now I'm running for mayor of Kansas City. So I'm wondering if maybe one or both of you would be willing to run for mayor of Kansas City someday?
I'll think about it.
All right, got a maybe. That's awesome. I love it. Well, keep up the good work. That's exciting. Did you have a campaign to get on the student council?
Yeah, but there wasn't that many people running, so.
That happens sometimes. It's not easy work. Do people bring complaints to you of things they'd like to see changed?
Not really.
Me.
Oh, you? All right.
They just complain that we don't get to wear hoodies and that they can't have their phones out, but
yeah,
that's understandable.
Are there any complaints about food?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was one of the complaints that I had. I got complaints about what we could wear and what we couldn't wear, and I got complaints about food. We didn't have phones when I was in school, though, so that wasn't a problem yet. So do you like being on the student council?
Yeah, at least if we wanted to change something, we had the chance to.
How would you do it? What would you do to change? How would you make a change? Who would you talk to?
We would talk to us as a group, and then we'd make
meetings with the principal.
Yeah, and then we can probably team up with them and then see what we can accomplish.
That's a great idea. Can you think of one issue you would like to handle or to take to the principal and see what kind of resolution you could get? If you could change one thing, what would it be?
I say we get our when we sit with our friends at lunch. I want that back because I don't like sitting with classes. I think that's not fair.
All right. Well, good luck getting that accomplished. I hope that you can start having some conversations and see where it goes.
I was on student council back in the day, and it's a lot like city council. What is it like? Well, so city council, I don't know if they give you much money to play with in student council. Probably not, right? Or you get some?
We get some, but...
Right, not nearly enough.
Yeah.
So at city council, I don't know if Northeast Middle School is footing this, we get $1.7 billion, right? Which is crazy. Imagine what you could do at Northeast Middle School with $1.7 billion. Mm-hmm. We could really do some nice stuff. Well, we get to do that with the city, and we think about all of the different priorities. And so some of the priorities include things that we call kind of basics, right? The basic services is you have to pay everybody who works for the city. So the firefighters and the police and the folks that are picking up our trash and fixing the potholes and all of that. But then you also think about sometimes kind of, new things. Do we want to have new businesses come into the city? Do we want to build a new swimming pool somewhere, which we just did, by the way, not in this neighborhood, but further north of here. And so those are sorts of the things. So you do a bit of taking care of what's already going on, but then planning for the future. And frankly, I'd like to think that that's kind of like your lives, right? As students, you're learning a lot of the basics, right? You know how to read, right? You're learning about American history, you're learning better writing skills, all that sort of stuff. But you're also thinking about, all right, what do I want to dream of doing? Where do I want to see myself when I'm 25 years old?